Chapter 11, Part 1, The Cosmic Request. Scenes 11:1 to 11.8. Introduction when Faith asked to see.
Scene. The dialogue has reached a sacred stillness. The roar of the battlefield fades, the conches rest, and only the hum of the eternal remains between Krishna and Arjuna. The warrior, whose heart once trembled with doubt, now stands humbled and illuminated by divine wisdom. 10 chapters have transformed his understanding. He has heard of Krishna's infinite manifestations, felt his presence in all greatness, and realized that the divine breathes through every atom of life.
And yet, Arjuna now desires to see. Then, this is a deeply human moment, the bridge between belief and experience. Arjuna's heart overflows with faith, but the mind, ever sincere, longs for direct vision. He has understood Krishna as the seed of creation, the self in all beings, the source of light and life, but words, however divine, still veil the infinite behind form. So Arjuna folds his hands and asks the unthinkable, "Show me, O Lord, that universal form if you think I am worthy to behold it."
This request marks a spiritual leap not of skepticism, but of intimacy. Arjuna doesn't ask if Krishna is God. He asks how that divinity looks when fully revealed. He wants to see what it means for one presence to fill heaven and earth, to feel what it means for all time and being to rest in one consciousness.
Now, for us, this moment is symbolic of every seeker's journey. We too oscillate between faith and evidence, between trust and proof. We sense the sacred in intuition, love, and awe, but sometimes the heart whispers, "Show me." It's not doubt, it's longing to experience truth directly. Krishna doesn't scold Arjuna for this desire. Instead, he prepares him, for no human eyes can behold infinity unaided. Divine vision must replace ordinary sight. This is the spiritual law. The infinite can be known only when perception itself becomes purified. In our own lives, this means that divine experience doesn't descend from the sky, it awakens within. The more our heart clears of ego, fear, and grasping, the more reality reveals its sacred face. Arjuna's coming vision is not just cosmic spectacle, it is mirror. What he sees outside will reflect what he has awakened inside.
The cosmic form, Vishwarupa, is not Krishna changing shape. It is Arjuna changing vision.
Focus. Faith matures through experience, but experience requires grace. To see the divine, we must learn to look not with eyes of flesh, but with eyes of surrender. Scene 11.1, Arjuna's gratitude and readiness.
Scene. Arjuna begins, "By the words you have spoken out of compassion, O Krishna, my delusion is dispelled. I now know the origin and end of beings, and I see your infinite greatness."
Then, Arjuna opens with humility and gratitude. He acknowledges Krishna's teachings as medicine for his confusion. The heavy fog of despair that once clouded his mind in Chapter 1 has lifted. He no longer sees himself as a broken warrior, but as a soul awakening to its divine connection. This moment is pivotal. Before asking for vision, Arjuna expresses understanding. He knows the divine is both immanent and transcendent, the inner self and the cosmic sustainer. His intellect bows before wisdom, and his heart opens before grace. For Krishna, this readiness is what he was waiting for. Before the eyes can see God, the heart must feel gratitude. Vision without humility becomes spectacle. Vision with surrender becomes revelation.
Now, this verse speaks to modern seekers who hunger for experience before reflection. Arjuna shows us the right order: first learn, then digest, then see. Gratitude is the bridge between learning and realization. The heart that says thank you is already half awakened.
Before divine sight comes, life always tests us with smaller awakenings, moments when understanding deepens through gratitude. Every time we say, "I see now why that happened," a fragment of Vishwarupa is already revealing itself. Focus. Gratitude prepares the eye of the soul. When you truly thank life for its lessons, you are already beginning to see God. Scene 11.2, you have revealed the supreme truth.
Scene. Arjuna continues, "O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail of the creation and dissolution of beings and of your imperishable glory."
Then Arjuna recalls the teachings of the previous chapters. He has learned that Krishna is the source of creation, chapter 10, the seed of all beings, 1039, the essence of all greatness, 1041, and that even this vast universe is sustained by a mere spark of his splendor, 1042, he now fully grasps intellectually that God is not limited by form or time, but the heart still longs to feel. Hearing the truth has deepened faith, but seeing it will complete surrender.
Now, this reflects our own progression as learners. We may intellectually accept that the divine exists through science, philosophy, or scripture, but realization dawns only when truth moves from head to heart. Arjuna's words mirror that sacred impatience that arises in every sincere seeker. I have heard enough, now I want to see.
In our world of endless information, Krishna reminds us that wisdom is not about quantity of knowledge but depth of awareness. Knowing about God is not the same as knowing God. Arjuna's reverence for Krishna shows that the two must unite, reason must bow before revelation. Focus. Hearing truth awakens understanding. Seeing truth transforms being. Move from knowledge to direct awareness through devotion. Scene 11.3. If you think I am worthy.
Scene. Arjuna says, O Supreme Lord, just as you have described yourself, I wish to behold that divine form of yours. If you think I am worthy, O Master of Yoga, show me your imperishable self.
Then, with folded hands, Arjuna makes his sacred request. There is no demand, only reverence. His words, if you think I am worthy, reveal the humility of a true disciple. He knows that the infinite cannot be grasped by desire. It must be granted by grace. For Krishna, this request is both beautiful and momentous. After chapters of instruction, the student's readiness is complete. Arjuna's surrender has reached the point where grace can descend safely. The Lord does not withhold vision. He waits until the heart can bear it.
Now, this verse mirrors every genuine moment of awakening. You cannot force enlightenment, you can only prepare yourself and pray to be ready. Divine experience is not conquered by effort, but invited by surrender. When the ego says, I want proof, vision recedes. When the soul says, if you will it, I am ready, revelation begins.
Modern spirituality often emphasizes manifestation and control, but Krishna teaches the opposite. Transformation happens through permission, not possession. Arjuna's humility becomes the door through which infinity enters. Focus. The soul's greatest power is surrender. True seeing begins when the heart whispers, only if you will. Scene 11.4, Grace grants the vision.
Scene. Krishna replies, Behold, O Arjuna, my forms in hundreds and thousands, diverse, divine, of many colors and shapes, but you cannot see me with these eyes. I grant you divine sight.
Then, with this verse, the miracle begins. Krishna agrees to Arjuna's request, but first, he replaces Arjuna's ordinary sight with divine vision. Human eyes perceive form and limit. Divine eyes perceive essence and infinity. Krishna's compassion shines here. He does not overwhelm the unready. He prepares the vessel before pouring in the ocean. For Arjuna, this is both gift and initiation. He is no longer a mere observer. He is being transformed to see as God sees. Soon he will behold the Vishwarupa, the cosmic form that contains all creation within itself, where every god, creature, and atom pulses in one radiant body of truth.
Now, this verse reveals a timeless truth. Enlightenment is not about seeing something new, but seeing differently. The divine doesn't change, perception does. To receive divine sight in our time means to awaken vision beyond bias, beyond fear, to see unity behind diversity.
Krishna's words remind us that spiritual experience is not addition but awakening. When grace opens the eye of the heart, the infinite becomes visible even in the finite. Focus. Divine vision is not about new worlds, but new perception. When grace clears the lens of ego, the universe reveals its sacred face. Scene 11.5, Behold the universe within me.
Scene, Krishna begins, Behold, O Arjuna, my forms in hundreds and thousands divine, various in kind, color, and shape. See within me all the gods and beings gathered together, all that moves and all that does not.
Then, the moment arrives, the veil between finite and infinite begins to dissolve. Krishna, the charioteer of Arjuna, becomes the canvas of the cosmos. His form expands beyond the battlefield. Within him, Arjuna sees the gods of heaven, the sages of old, the creatures of earth, and even the mountains and oceans. The battlefield of Kurukshetra now lies inside Krishna, not outside. For Arjuna, it is overwhelming, not merely a vision of grandeur, but of totality. Everything he has ever known, friends, foes, ancestors, stars, all exist as facets of one living being. There is no outside. The divine doesn't contain the universe exists within the divine.
Now, this verse is a reminder that divinity is not compartmentalized. The sacred is not limited to temples or rituals, but includes all chaos and calm, creation and decay. Modern life often divides work versus prayer, body versus spirit, but Krishna's revelation dissolves those walls. Everything exists within the same divine field of consciousness.
When you realize this, separation ends. What you fight, what you fear, what you love, all are expressions of one source. To behold God, you must be ready to see everything as sacred, even what you don't understand. Focus, the divine is total. When you expand your vision to include all beauty and terror alike, you begin to see as Krishna does. Scene 11.6 Heavenly and Earthly Powers.
Scene. Krishna continues. Behold the Adityas, Vasas, Rudras, Ashvins, and Maruts. Behold many wonders never seen before, O Arjuna. See the whole universe standing as one in my body.
Then Arjuna now sees not only human and earthly forms, but celestial forces, radiant beings from Vedic cosmology, the very powers of nature personified. The Adityas, solar deities, Vasas, elements of light and air, Rudras, forces of transformation, Ashvins, twin healers, and Maruts, storm gods, all shine within Krishna's universal frame. This is not mythology, it's metaphysics. These divine forms represent energies that sustain existence, vitality, motion, transformation, balance, and healing. For Arjuna, seeing them unified in Krishna's form is to realize that all natural forces, moral laws, and spiritual powers are expressions of one intelligence.
Now, today, this vision resonates as an ecological and spiritual truth. Science studies the same forces through physics and biology. Spirituality perceives them as divine harmonies. Both point to interconnection. The wind, the sun, the cycles of birth and decay, all are sacred choreography.
Krishna invites us to move from intellectual understanding to reverent awareness. The universe is not machinery, it is symphony. When we perceive its unity, life becomes worship, not exploitation. Focus. Nature is divine expression. Every element, every force, every being dances in harmony within the body of God. Scene 11.7 The universe as a single form.
Scene. Krishna declares, Behold, O Arjuna, the entire universe moving and unmoving centered in one body, in me. Whatever else you desire to see it here and now.
Then these words seal the vision. Krishna invites Arjuna to look without boundaries to see past opposites, time and distance. The battlefield, the heavens, and all worlds merge into one living continuum. The line between seer and seen disappears. For Arjuna, this is not mere astonishment, it is existential transformation. He no longer looks at God, he is looked through by God. The same consciousness that pervades Krishna begins to vibrate through him. He sees his ancestors, gods, warriors, and worlds all interwoven in divine tapestry.
Now, this verse speaks to our deepest spiritual hunger to see unity behind multiplicity. In modern life, we divide ourselves endlessly by nation, belief, identity, but the truth is singular. The universe is not a collection of things. It is one vast being expressing itself in infinite ways.
When meditation deepens or compassion awakens, you glimpse this oneness for a moment, that brief stillness where I and world dissolve. Krishna tells us that this vision is not fantasy, but reality always present, rarely perceived. Focus. Everything is one living presence. When you stop dividing life, you begin to experience the unity that was always there. Scene 11.8 Eyes of Grace.
Scene. Krishna concludes this moment of preparation, but you cannot see me with these eyes of yours. I grant you divine sight. Behold my sovereign yoga.
Then, with this, Krishna performs the supreme act of compassion. He bestows upon Arjuna the Divya Chakshu, the divine eye. This is not a physical transformation but a shift in consciousness. Human sight sees fragments, divine sight perceives the whole. Through grace, Arjuna's vision expands beyond sensory limits. He is about to witness infinity embodied. Krishna calls this my sovereign yoga, the supreme union of opposites, the harmony of all contradictions within one existence. The revelation about to unfold will not just show Arjuna who Krishna is, it will show him what reality itself is.
Now, this verse reveals a spiritual law. Enlightenment is grace meeting readiness. Effort purifies the vessel. Grace fills it. Arjuna's surrender has invited this gift. Similarly, when we cultivate humility and devotion, new perception dawns naturally, the mind quiets, the heart opens, and we begin to see what was always here.
In today's language, this is the awakening of higher consciousness, where awareness is no longer bound by ego or fear. It's not seeing more, it's seeing deeper. Focus, divine vision is granted when the heart is ready. Grace reveals what effort alone cannot, the oneness behind all. Closing summary, the cosmic request.
Scene. The air vibrates with silence before creation. Arjuna stands on the precipice between the human and the divine. The moment he has prepared for, perhaps through lifetimes, is now. Krishna has agreed to reveal his universal form. The stage of the infinite is set.
Then, Arjuna began this chapter filled with gratitude. Scene 11.1, acknowledging that Krishna's wisdom had dissolved his confusion. He recognized the divine as the source of all creation, Scene 11.2, and humbly requested to behold the universal form, Scene 11.3, saying, "If you think I am worthy." Krishna, in compassion, agreed but reminded him, "Ordinary eyes cannot behold the infinite," Scene 11.4. Then the Lord declared the unimaginable, Scene 11.5, "Behold within me all forms of life." Arjuna's consciousness began to expand. He saw the celestial forces, Scene 11.6, the entire cosmos united in one living body, Scene 11.7, and finally Krishna bestowed divine vision, Scene 11.8, a grace that would soon dissolve all separation. This marks the threshold of direct experience. Arjuna is about to see what no mortal has ever seen, the entire universe existing as one being, pulsing with divine energy. But before that, this section gives us something precious: the balance between faith and vision, devotion and understanding.
Now, for us, this sequence teaches the psychology of revelation. Arjuna's journey mirrors every seeker's progression: learning, gratitude, surrender, readiness, and grace. We all crave proof of the divine, but Krishna shows that the true vision doesn't come through argument or spectacle. It comes through purification of perception.
In modern life, this is vital. We chase evidence for truth in outer forms, miracles, signs, or doctrines, yet the real transformation happens inwardly. Divine sight is not seeing something supernatural, but realizing that everything natural is already divine. When the heart opens, every moment becomes revelation. The cosmic request is not just Arjuna's, it's humanity's. It is the soul's eternal prayer. Let me see the truth as it is. Krishna answers, as he always does, with compassion. You will when you are ready.
The next verses will unveil what the divine eye sees: the form beyond form, the time beyond time. But for now, Arjuna stands still, breathless, on the edge of infinity.
Focus. Vision begins where surrender ripens. The divine is not revealed through sight, but through readiness to see. When the eyes of grace open, the infinite steps forth from the ordinary.